Are you feeling a little crazy? Do you have the shivers?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have the shivers? Because if you do, I ask you to wear a mask, please. Because, well, I mean, I think we're about to find out why. However, so my name is Christiana. I'm the host here, and I am the co-producer of Peep Show Menagerie, which is the longest-running burlesque show in Southern California. It's weird. I don't even know how that happened. Some kind of pandemic thing happened. We're going to learn more about that in the educational film coming up. And we'll find out exactly how that happened. If you're in the back row and you really want a mystery seat, lose your seat, you can always stand up and watch back here. Because there's some low ground stuff happening first. It's okay to go in the aisles, just don't block them. It's always pretty good. Anyways, are you ready? We still got like 2 movies to go. Oh my gosh. Anyways, how was Pat, by the way, with that Q&A?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys could probably tell some other stories, you know. But yeah, if you really want to know the inside scoop of Pat, just get in between these 2 guys right here. I won't tell you who they are, but they're also very tall. That's all. Let's put it that way. Anyways, so let's get this started. Hey, so we're about to start our journey into this film by way of an interpretation of it from one of our own longtime performers. She is an award-winning performer, nationally, is it internationally? Let's see if there's a list here that tells me. Internationally award-winning performer. Did you hear that? I thought they started the movie already. She won, well, actually I don't know all of her titles, but she is, oh my gosh, I already forgot the tagline, and it's good. There's 2 of them actually. Oh, the Immaculate MILF, and the original Miss Hollywood Burlesque. That's true, that's one of her titles. So you don't want to hear me talk anymore, really, right? I don't want to hear me talk anymore. So let's please bring her out. Peter, be ready. Kiva Siani! For somebody. There you go. All right, that was Kiva Siani, everybody. As the thing set up there, if you were able to accept, that'd be great. That's how we're making money tonight. And I guess I suppose you guys want to see a film, right?
Yep. Shivers.
I guess I can do that. Let's find out. Hey, I think we have a special presenter for this.
Where's Miles?
One that works. Oh no, this one's good. Okay. All right. First of all, I want to thank Ben and Eric for putting this amazing festival on. I've known Eric quite a long time. We actually, through my distribution company, we distributed his feature film, which I think Eric's got available out front. But going back to this film, this is one of my all-time favourite films. In the UK, I know it's got several titles, but in the UK it was simply called Shivers. I knew nothing about it as a young kid, and going into my local cinema, sitting down, I was totally unprepared for the absolute intense quality of this film. And I still think it holds up. I watched this about a month ago with my friends, and it still holds up as it just feels a very contemporary film, which many films from the 70s don't. It doesn't feel camp at all. It's a great movie. So Has anyone here never seen this film before? Oh wow, you've had a wonderful experience. It's to be honest, even though it's an early Cronenberg, I still think it's Cronenberg at his best. I really do, because I think he's fresh. I think he's willing to take a lot of risks with this film. He gets some great performances, and of course, he gets a wonderful performance from both our special guests here tonight, the great Lynn Lowry and Alan Coleman. So we'll be doing a Q&A after the film, but let's swiftly move on because I know we're running late, with the great Shivers from the wonderful and very talented genius David Cronenberg.
They can probably hear me though if I project, right? Makes it easier. Anyway, hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for coming. Wow, it's so entertaining. I'm so excited to be here. I'm gonna put my drink down here. My Sprite. My microphone is stuck. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's so stuck. Anyway, so how many of you have seen Shivers?
Yep.
And you've seen my tits. How many of you haven't seen my Shivers? And you get to see my tits. So also that swimming pool scene. I mean, I'm fucking hot in that, right?
Yeah.
You are.
Still are.
And you know, thank you. So,
I signed next to you in Denver, you don't even remember me.
I can't see you, honey. Next year is the 50th anniversary of Shivers. Or the year after, I'm not sure, but one of those. And but the fact is, I was 10 when I made that film. Now we have a very, very wonderful guest with us tonight too, Mr. Alan Coleman, who's going to be here for the Q&A afterwards, and who was quite intimate with the parasites. So please stay for that Q&A because I think you'll like it. So Cronenberg. Body hunger, right? Parasites coming out of your mouth, parasites coming up your poop. I said too much already. So I'm proud to present the film for tonight by the wonderful David Cronenberg from 75 or 76, you know, one of those. And anyway, the Parasite Murders. No. They came from within. Ooh. You just gave me shivers.
All right.
Miles! So what a great film. This is a good mic. It's wet down here.
Sorry.
Shivers. Yes, the Shivers thing.
Good like Q&A was earlier.
Yeah. No, your Q&A was brilliant because you had such a wonderful panel. Everyone was just talks. That's the beauty of the best Q&A. You don't want to hear me.
No, I said it makes you cool.
Is there another chair? Because we've got,
We had two people.
yeah, no, we haven't. Have we? We've got three.
Well, including you.
Yeah, we've got three. Can we get another chair?
Yeah, I can get another.
Yeah. We have two people. Honestly, do you ever feel like I'm going? Now, what a great film, though. I'm always amazed when I watch that film. Just from an effects point of view, isn't that scene with the chest?
Yeah.
And it just looks amazing. I mean, normally when you look at effects from that period, you can always tell, you know, like it's the fake skin. But there are times when I was watching it, especially on the big screen, and I could see him breathing in and out. And that felt like that was his real chest. And yet just below it, you could see the parasite things underneath. And I just, you know, normally you have just that, you know, fake chest, but it was,
Yeah, it's a fake torso with him popping his head.
yeah, but that just didn't really look, it was really convincing. That always impresses me. Especially when you revisit a film after many years, you watch it as a kid and you think, okay, and then you watch it again and the effects just don't hold up. But the other thing about this film is, I just can't get over the amount of, I mean, it's a very sexual film, and for the time period as well. Now, really, a lot of these things I shouldn't be saying because the actors are going to come down, and then I'm going to repeat myself. But okay, so out of the audience, the people who generally who hadn't seen it before, raise your hands. Yeah. Okay. What was your general reaction then to the film? For the people who've never seen it before. Yeah, it's. I mean, for me, it's still one of Cronenberg's best works. I find that it's, especially when you're filming under those conditions, low budget. You're not going to be doing many takes. You're going to be limited. You know, you've got to speed through setups. So I think what he actually achieved in that. See, there are 3 people here. Thank you, Eric.
Miles,
Yes.
One a hand from Miles, please.
No, seriously, Eric.
When did you talk about how important Adam Driver's first role was?
Sorry,
Adam Driver's first
are you doing the Q&A?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm confused for a second. Okay, yeah. Do we know when the actors are coming down, Eric?
They're here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I can't see because of the light. Okay, so let's just move on and let's introduce the stars of the film, Lynn Lowry and Alan Coleman. Yeah, Lynn, you sit there and you be sharing the mic. I'll sit over here. Oh. Which? On the mics. And you're feeling better, Alan, after the stomach problems you had. All right, are we okay?
Yes.
Actually, this is better. Yeah, you show that microphone. Have we got 3? Oh, Jesus. Have we got 3
We
more?
got 2.
We got. Wow, this is really loud. Okay, we'll just share this one. Okay, so you guys, how did you get involved in the film?
Well, let's see. Ivan Reitman came to New York and met with me for lunch, and they asked me to do the film. So it was pretty cool. That's all.
Well, I had moved from Montreal to Toronto, and was a friend of Susan Petrie's, who played Janine in the film. And so she introduced me to David, and did a very animated audition for David, followed by an audition for Ivan Reitman, and I was in. And all auditions should move as smoothly as that.
So, what attracted you to the role, either of you?
Well, I thought it was real quirky. I thought the treatment, it presented itself initially as a horror film, but it certainly wasn't analogous to any kind of horror films I was familiar with, but with castles and vampires and blood. It was cerebral. It was a cerebral feast. So that's what intrigued me.
It was a big part.
Also, I might add, as you noticed, there was very little dialogue that I had to grab hold of, and I prefer reacting as opposed to acting in a movie. And so, and I'm not one to boast about my work, rather modest, but I stand with what I did here. It's really one of my favorite movie experiences.
Because it definitely was a reactive role. I mean, all
Yeah.
the physical stuff in
Yeah.
there. I mean, you're throwing up and your body's all over the place. And
Yes, body language, body movement, yeah, all of that. So, Yes.
What's interesting is that you don't have any roles. You're not featured together in any scenes, are
We
you?
don't seem to interact at all. No.
Yeah. Do you do these? Is this the first time you've actually been together at an event, or not?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I don't know who this guy is. I don't know. He's fabulous though in it, I think, isn't he?
Did you meet on this on location? So you were okay. And one question is, when you watch it, is it all one location? You're actually filming in that one apartment block.
I believe so.
Was it empty, or did you just take up one? Do you want to tell us like what it was like, how long the shoot was, and how you sort of just generally sort of filmed it? And,
Do you want to take it then, or do you want me? It was like I believe it was like 17 days, 14 days or 17 days. I believe the budget was something like $140,000. And the building was just about to be rented on Nuns Island. And so there were very few apartments that were furnished. So they had their work cut out for them. Given the fact that it was a low budget, they had to dress at least 4 or 5 units, which cut into the budget, of course.
so when you were filming there, so it was completely empty. That's
Pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had like the number of people on, because there was quite a lot of people in the film. Were they around? How many? What was it like? Were you filming mostly nights? Because it seems like it was more of a set. There's very little in the daytime.
Well, some days, and evenings as well. But I think that part of the success, or a major part of the success of the movie, as far as I'm concerned, is that everybody committed themselves. And I'm talking about the secondary actors who really didn't get a whole lot of adulation coming their way. Everybody's committed to doing the best that they can do. That's all very believable.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing that I notice when I see it, that you believe it, even the children in it.
Yes.
I mean, and that's what makes it really freaky when you watch it. So it still has that power, and especially sex is frightening at times, and the way it's presented here.
It's also, if I may add, Miles,
Yeah.
it's also freaky what the children are asked or required to do. So one needs to be somewhat concerned about this.
So, especially today when you look at it now, as opposed to, I remember seeing it when, I can't remember, what was it, 75 it came out? So I must have been about, I think I was about 12 or something. I used to sneak it, because they never checked your ID at the cinema. So, but you just got used to seeing stuff like that. It didn't seem different. So, what was it like working with Cronenberg, with David Cronenberg? What was his style like? What was it like being on a set with him? Well, on location and shooting. Do you still have memories of that?
Working with David was a treat. It was his first feature. He had done 2 shorts prior to this, and so he was a little bit on shaky ground. So everybody was in it along the lines of Mickey and Judy, let's put on a show. I had that sense of camaraderie to it, and egos were checked at the door, and so for the most part, nothing but respect for David and enthusiasm. He acquitted himself extremely well.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was great. It was like his first feature, right? So he was, young and wanted to, make a mark for himself. And, it was great to work with him because he had that passion, about him and just wanted to make something that would be remembered. And, and I think that he really did that. So.
I haven't seen this movie in like 40 years. And as you mentioned earlier, Miles, it holds up extremely well. And I was impressed by our cinematographer, Robert Side, because the movie has a beautiful look to it. Beautiful look.
Was that cold sort of look from that period as well, and the Canadian films that were coming out, that I think works fantastically in this film. So did you do, I'm always interested, after my Q&A, so I'm glad I'm doing one, I'm always interested in what was it like during that period? What was what was it like on, you're doing a low budget film, how many takes did you do? Did you get a, do you remember that kind of thing?
Yes, I can. Given the fact, this is a little odd to pronounce, but Susan and myself were Canadian actors and felt ourselves somewhat limited as to the number of takes we could have versus our 4 American counterparts. So basically, I was limited to 1 or 2 takes maximum, but I was okay with that. You know, it's like you get there, you do the job, you show up, and if you're professional, of course you can do it more than 2 takes. The question was whether the technical crew could comply as well. Everybody, you know, it's just fabulous, you know. Work like one group.
But it wasn't me. It was Paul. Paul Hampton was the one that always had to take more takes and everything. So it wasn't me. I'm a one take girl. Well, I like to get it on the first or second take. I mean, you know, when you're trained back in the 70s and you know, had theater training and you know what you're doing and you can get it in the first or 2 takes. And now, you know, we have like 50 takes, you know, do it again, do it again, do it again. And, you know, it was just so different back then because you had to get it because it was on, you know, 35 mil. So you couldn't like, you know, fool around. I mean, you really needed to know what you were doing. But, you know, we did have, you know, Paul was wonderful in the film. And I have to say, that when I first saw the film, I thought, oh God, Paul and I have no chemistry in this film. I mean, you know, that wasn't even him looking at me nude. It was David Cronenberg in that scene. So Paul and I really didn't have a lot of chemistry. But when I saw it like 30 years later, I thought, oh, you know, he's really very good. I mean, how would you respond to what's going on? You know, in any other way than he did. So I thought he was really, really great in that film.
So were you surprised at the reaction the film got? Like when it came out, I've read that like in Canada, especially if it received government funding.
The CFDC, the Canadian Film Development Corporation, put money into it. And it was almost unanimously tanked by the critics. And Canada being a fairly Catholic country, there was great concern as to where the funding, where the money was going, into this quote-unquote, this direct, if you will. And so the critics were terribly unkind, and perhaps even more so with regard to the acting, which I feel is uncalled for or unsuited. Because I think the acting is really hot, quite frankly.
But at that time, I remember, you know, reading reviews of any horror film. You knew you were going to do that review. I never read any good reviews of any horror film. I mean, outside of probably something like The Exorcist, which was a big exception. So, when you made this, did you have a sense of that this would have lasting power and that Cronenberg would have the career that he's had?
I didn't, no.
It was just
Well, not to disparage David, but you know, I just didn't know what we were looking for, or looking toward, or what kind of a payoff this would have.
I didn't know what the hell it was. This was a really weird film. And I thought, oh, okay, we'll do it. But, you know, I had no idea that you would all be sitting here, what, 50 years later, watching this film? Oh my God.
That must be
Really?
the obvious thing to deal with, like, going back, how many years now? 50 years. And people are still, you know, like what films, what work you've done, people sort of remember. It's not always, and this is a good piece of work, one of the things, it's not always the best that people remember. But I think what's great about this is that it has fabulous performances, that is a quality piece of work, and it is an important piece of work in the genre. It's a good one to remember, to celebrate. And I'm glad that we can, celebrate it here and it continues to grow, especially with the, relatively recent Blu-ray restoration. But I was going to say as well that the reaction that I remember it was probably almost immediately when the film came out. I don't know, there's people of a certain age who were young teenagers around that time, but I remember, the fan magazines, or House of Hammer in England, and those magazines. Your image was everywhere. The image, there was there's a still of you. You're lying down, and it's the chest scene with the bumps. You were sort of iconic in that. I don't know if you were aware of that.
No, I certainly wasn't aware of that.
And that image has continued. It's one of those strong images. Can you also watching the film on the big screen? And I was saying earlier, I couldn't work out if you were actually in the aisle when I was saying this, but the effect work, particularly on your effects works generally, were really good for the time. But that chest scene, the lighting work. But how was it done?
Well, let me just say, Joe Blasco was our maestro from California. He came in to work with David. He was obviously taken by the script. Initially, the parasite resembled something that was spider-like. And so on the written page, when the parasite emerges from the mouth, you would have, as written, tentacles coming out of the orifice, if you will. But with regard to the chest, it was a rubber chest that was fastened to me, and the parasites, again, Joe, just ingenious, had balloons that were taped to my belly and to my every which several parts of the belly and the chest, and he and his aide had tubing that went into the balloons, and with David's orchestration, the balloons were blown up, and they popped, as you witnessed, as legitimate parasites. And also, this is interesting to note, there's a couple of moments in the movie where I kind of really just take off, if you will. David was at the foot of the bed, and this is when you trust your director. I said, look, I want you to grab my foot, I want you to scrape your nail across the sole of my foot, but you want the highlight, but you want me to emerge and to have something resembling a euphoric fit. And that's how we got that particular effect. But one has to be careful when looking at this movie, because given the budget, it was not a complete wraparound chest. It hit the sides, and there were strings over here. And it's particularly noticeable when Paul comes in and shoots me. Thankfully, there's a lot of blood covering up the side of the chest. But a keen eye will see the fact that it's taped, and it's really not quite what it could be or should be. But the magic, the mystery of movie making, yes?
There's definitely a lot of blood in that scene. I mean, there's more blood than I think I've seen in any movie up to that point.
No, when I was in the hallway waiting to work, and Alan and Joe came out, and they were covered in blood. And I thought, oh my God, what happened? And it was, to me, one of the goriest scenes that I have ever seen. But I have to say, David also asked me one day if I needed him to help me to get emotional. I guess I don't know, slapped Susan a few times, because she asked him to cry. So he said, did I need it? And I went, no, David, I can act.
So, were you guys also living in this apartment? Is this where you existed during the entire show?
I believe we were staying at the Windsor Hotel. We weren't staying in the apartment. We were at a hotel. Yeah.
And then after the film came out, did the film in any way affect roles or the way you were perceived as actors? Because of the especially in Canada, the negative reaction.
We'll all go. Okay. I had the good fortune to be, at that time, in Canada's most critically acclaimed movie, The Apprenticeship of Denny Kravitz, followed by this movie, which was the most controversial. Now, had I been in the States, my career would have skyrocketed. But Canada is famous for not giving its actors equality, or there is no star system per se in Canada. So, I drifted. And a year later, I elected to come down to Los Angeles. But there was no heat generated by this movie, more so than David Cronenberg, but this movie generated nothing.
It was certainly a widely discussed film in England.
Really?
Yeah, it was, and it got a lot of, in the fan press, there wasn't a lot, but it did, like, House of
And so you're saying favorable press?
Yeah, oh, very
Really?
favorable. Yeah, I mean, and especially later on, it was released as a double bill. It was constantly running. It was a double bill rabbit. It was a very popular film, so I'm surprised at that.
Okay, folks.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Sorry, we have to cut this short. Oh, we can do?
Oh, no, we wanted to.
A really quick one.
I think we should have a quick question from the audience. Question, please,
Super quick.
someone.
For you, Lynn, was it a bigger splash from this than the Crazies?
Not really. I mean, Shivers and the Crazies were both sort of ignored back then, no one knew, like Alan said, we got no attention from Shivers.
We were on the wrong continent, obviously.
And the Crazies, they wanted zombies, so, it wasn't a zombie. What can I say? Anyway, we're gonna be at our table though, so if you have more questions.